They say a man who cannot control his emotions will forever be a slave to people, to pain, to circumstance. And most of us learn that the hard way. You don't realize how much power you've given away until something small, a word, a rejection, a delay, ruins your entire day. You tell yourself you're in control, but deep down you know you're not. You react before you think. You let anger, sadness, jealousy, or fear take the wheel. And then, when the damage is done, you sit in silence, wondering why you said what you said or why you felt what you felt. I've learned something through the storms of life. Control is not about killing emotion, it's about mastering it. Stoicism teaches that emotions aren't your enemy. Your ignorance of them is. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders, once reminded himself every morning, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That single sentence is the foundation of emotional mastery. Because when you start to understand the nature of emotions, you see that they're not random. They're signals, they're information. Anger tells you there's injustice. Sadness tells you something mattered. Fear tells you something's at stake. But here's the secret the Stoics understood. Just because an emotion visits you doesn't mean you have to serve it tea. You can observe it without obeying it. Every day the world gives you opportunities to lose control. A disrespectful coworker, a partner who doesn't reply, a stranger who cuts you off in traffic. Each one is a test, not of your strength against them, but of your strength against yourself. When you let them trigger you, you hand them the keys to your peace. And the truth is, no one can control you unless you first lose control of yourself. Epictetus, a man born into slavery, understood this better than most. He said that when someone insults you, it's your mind that chooses to feel insulted. The insult itself has no power, it's just air, sound. But your interpretation of that sound gives it meaning. It's not what happens that breaks you, it's how you interpret what happens. Think about it. Two men face the same storm. One curses the sky, the other thanks it for cleansing the air. The storm is the same, but their minds are not. That's the power of perspective. And once you master perspective, emotions become tools, not masters. Most people today are prisoners of reaction. They live in constant emotional turbulence because they try to control the external world. What people say, what people think, how life unfolds. But that's a fight you can never win. The Stoics flipped that completely. They said, control the internal, not the external. Let go of what you cannot change and you will change everything. And yet we resist this truth. We cling to outcomes. We want life to obey us. We want people to understand us, love us, respect us. But the moment you demand anything from the world, you give it power over your peace. The world owes you nothing, but you owe yourself composure. So how do you control your emotions in a world designed to provoke them? It begins with awareness and with the pause. When something triggers you, the first instinct is to react. But the Stoic doesn't move immediately. He pauses, he breathes. He lets the first wave pass. Because in that small pause between what happens and how you respond lies your freedom. The modern mind doesn't know how to pause. It's constantly bombarded. News, opinions, notifications, comparisons. It's overstimulated and under-reflective. You scroll through your feed and suddenly you feel inferior, angry, jealous, or sad. Not because your life changed, but because your perception did. The Stoics would call that slavery of the mind, reacting to illusions. You see, Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And that's exactly what we do. We imagine worst-case scenarios, we rehearse pain, we relive insults. We build entire emotional prisons out of stories that don't exist. Reality isn't the problem, our interpretation of it is. Emotional control, then, isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about questioning them. The Stoic doesn't ask, "How do I stop feeling angry?" He asks, "Why do I feel angry? What expectation of mine was violated? What story am I telling myself right now?" Once you see the thought behind the feeling begins to lose its power. Let's talk about anger. That fire that burns everything it touches. Anger promises strength but gives you weakness. It makes you feel powerful in the moment but hollow afterward. Seneca said the best remedy for anger is delay. Don't react immediately. Time is the extinguisher of irrational fire. Wait, let it cool. And you'll realize most of your rage came not from what happened, but from how you expected it to go. You expected fairness, you expected understanding, you expected control. But the world isn't built to meet your expectations, it's built to challenge them. And once you accept that, life stops provoking you. Because nothing surprises the man who expects nothing and accepts everything. Then there's sadness, the quiet emotion. The one that doesn't shout but lingers. The Stoics didn't deny grief. They embraced it, but they refused to drown in it. Marcus Aurelius lost his wife, his children, his friends, yet he remained steady. Not because he was cold, but because he understood impermanence. Everything we love, everything we build, everything we are, is temporary. To love deeply while knowing that truth is not detachment, it's wisdom. When you realize that every moment is fleeting, you stop clinging and start appreciating. You don't demand permanence from a world built on change. You learn to love without ownership, to enjoy without needing to possess. That's real emotional maturity, the ability to feel everything but attached to nothing. But let's be honest, emotional control is harder now than ever before. The world has turned emotion into entertainment. Outrage sells, victimhood trends. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, validated, instantly. We live in reaction loops. The Stoic path is rebellion against that noise. It's silence in the chaos. It's being calm when the world screams for attention. If you truly want to control your emotions, disconnect. Spend time in solitude. Not the kind of loneliness filled with distraction, but true solitude where your thoughts have room to breathe. Journal, reflect. The Stoics did this daily. They examined their minds like warriors sharpening their swords. Each morning, they prepared for the battles of the day. Each night, they reviewed their mistakes without self-hatred, but with intention to grow. Ask yourself every evening, where did I lose my temper today? Why did that word, that look, that message bother me? Don't judge yourself, understand yourself. That's how you build awareness, and awareness is the foundation of control. Over time, you begin to notice the pattern. Emotions rise, but they no longer own you. You start to see the gap between the feeling and your response. You feel anger, but you choose calm. You feel fear, but you choose courage. You feel sadness, but you choose gratitude. That's mastery, not avoidance, but choice. The Stoics often practiced something called voluntary discomfort. They did things that tested their emotional resilience. Cold baths, fasting, sleeping on hard ground. Why? Because comfort breeds weakness. When you deliberately face small hardships, you train your mind to remain calm during big ones. Emotional control is like a muscle. It grows through resistance. So when life gets hard, don't curse it. Thank it. Because every challenge is an opportunity to practice control. Every insult is a chance to practice patience. Every loss is a reminder to practice gratitude. Life will never stop testing you, that's its job, but how you respond, that's yours. And nowhere is this harder than in love. When you love deeply, you expose your softest parts to the world. And when that love is ignored, rejected, or betrayed, it hurts in places words can't reach. But even there, Stoicism offers freedom. Love, they said, is not possession. It's appreciation. You cannot own a person. You can only choose to cherish them while they walk beside you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote to himself, "When you kiss your child, remind yourself they may not wake tomorrow." He didn't say this out of cruelty, but awareness. It's a reminder to love without attachment, to give fully but not cling. Because the moment your happiness depends on someone else's presence, you've surrendered control of your peace. True love is calm. It's grounded. It's not a storm, it's an anchor. It's saying, I choose you, not I need you. And when love ends, as all things eventually do, you grieve, but you don't collapse. Because you understand that even endings are part of nature's design. Emotional control doesn't mean you feel less, and it means you feel deeply but remain rooted. It's like standing in the ocean. The waves will come, but you don't get swept away. You watch them rise and fall, knowing none will last forever. That's how the Stoic lives, in constant awareness of impermanence, but never in fear of it. And once you reach that point, you start to see that emotional control is not about dominance, but alignment. It's not about silencing emotion, but about letting reason guide emotion. The Stoics didn't see emotion as weakness. They saw lack of control as weakness. Because emotions, when disciplined, become strength. Anger becomes drive. Fear becomes focus. Sadness becomes compassion. Pain becomes purpose. So here's what the Stoic teaches you. Control what you can, accept what you can't, and respond with virtue to both. If you can act, act. If you can't, accept. And no matter the outcome, keep your composure. The man who lives by this rule cannot be broken, because his peace isn't built on circumstance, it's built on self-mastery. You want to know what true strength looks like? Picture a warrior standing in the rain. The storm rages, lightning flashes, wind howl, but he doesn't flinch. Not because the storm isn't real, but because he's trained his mind not to fear it. He knows he can't stop the storm, but he also knows the storm can't stop him. That's what emotional control is. It's the ability to stay grounded when everything around you trembles. The modern man has been told that to feel is to be weak or that to express is to be strong. Both are wrong. True strength is balance, the ability to feel everything and still choose your response. To be soft without breaking, firm without cruelty, emotional without chaos. So the next time you feel your emotions rising, the anger, jealousy, despair, stop and breathe. Ask yourself, is this emotion useful right now? Does it help me act with wisdom, or am I just feeding my ego? Most of the time, it's the latter. Your ego wants to react, your wisdom wants to understand. Choose wisdom, because the man who controls himself controls his world, not through domination, but through clarity. When others lose themselves in anger, he stays calm. When others chase approval, he stays grounded. When others panic, he remains still. That's why emotional control isn't just about peace, it's about power. The kind of power that can't be taken away. And maybe that's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Control your thoughts and your emotions follow. Master your mind and the world loses its grip on you. So learn to pause, learn to observe, learn to detach. Not from life, but from your impulses. And when the storms come, because they will, stand firm. Feel the wind, face the thunder, but don't let it shake your spirit. Because peace isn't found when the storm ends, it's found when you stop fearing it. In the end, emotional control isn't about being emotionless, it's about being unshakable. It's about knowing that you can feel deeply without drowning, that you can love without losing yourself, that you can suffer without surrendering your soul. You are not your anger. You are not your sadness. You are not your fear. You are the calm awareness behind them, the observer, the master, the still point in the storm. And when you truly understand that, nothing and no one can control you ever again.